London, 1817. Reptile or human, you were guaranteed to make a cake out of yourself when mating season arrived. No, that wasn't fair to reptiles. Take the eastern fence lizard, Stelio undulatus. When it came time for the creature to attract a mate, a male performed a series of charming head bobs to show off its lovely bright blue stomach and throat, all of this done in complete silence. But the human male, more specifically aristocratic human males of London society, sported garish clothing while striking poses in conspicuous places and making harsh barking noises that guaranteed any female in the vicinity had no choice but to take notice. As she approached the be.New library in Kensington, with her maid Katie in tow, Grace Wyatt's naturalist's eye couldn't help but observe the trio of young bucks congregated on the corner of Knightsbridge and Sloane Street. Dandium vulgaris, the common dandy. Grace neared the three men who appeared to be between the ages of 21 and 25 years old, of average height and colouring, possessing no distinguishing facial features, and notable only for the expense of their coats and waistcoats, which let prospective mates know that, at the least, their material comforts would be assured. Their sexual and intellectual comforts, however, those were less certain.
"Did you clap peepers on the selection of beauties last night at the Haverfords?" one of them bleated. "A few rum morts, that's certain," another said. "Quite a bevy." "Jolly right," the third added. As Grace drew closer, she realised she knew the men, having encountered them at numerous galas and fetes over the years. She couldn't recall their names. One overbred lordling was much the same as another, but was fairly positive she danced with two of them, as they had considered her potential as a wife. Earls' daughters were infrequent, their dowry substantial and bloodline impeccable. At 26, she was somewhat old for an unwed woman, but she was healthy and all the women in her family lived long, fertile lives, bearing their husbands several sons, a few daughters too. But the sons usually lived into adulthood, and there was no reason to assume she also couldn't bear healthy heirs to whomever she granted breeding privileges to. Having assessed her physical features as they developed over the years, she determined that she was, by most standards, reasonably attractive. These factors alone made her a good catch. Any gentleman would be lucky indeed to marry her. But did she want to marry them? "Lady Grace," one of the men chirped as she neared. The three bucks all bowed.
"Gentlemen," she replied. A second dandy added,
"Looking charming, as usual. Are you out for a bit of shopping?"
"Headed to the library, in fact," she said. A look of profound bafflement creased the men's faces.
With books?"
the first dandy asked. "Generally," she answered levelly, "the thing that qualifies something for being called a library is the presence of books."
"Are you sure you wouldn't rather buy a bonnet?" the third dandy said with a hint of desperation. "My mother and sisters love the things, always getting new ones."
"Much as I enjoy new bonnets," she said, "they are not repositories of information about amphibians, nor reptiles."
"I suppose not,"
the second dandy said glumly. After a long pause, Grace said, "Thank you for the charming conversation, but I'll be on my way now, to the library, with books, not bonnets." The trio of men bowed again, wishing her a good day before she moved on. A wry smile tilted the corners of her mouth. Evidently, she wasn't missing much by failing to land a husband from the ranks of society. Grace and Katie mounted the stairs leading up to the be.New library. Pleasure rushed through Grace's body as she climbed higher and her fingers itched with the knowledge that soon she'd be thumbing through the pages of the latest books in natural philosophy. She reached the columned portico, then pushed open the heavy door and stepped into the marble-floored foyer. The smell of paper and leather and the faint musk of aged vellum filled her lungs. Her smile widened with genuine happiness, far more than any ballroom or parlour. This was her home. Leonidas Ben Ezra was an extraordinarily prosperous textile merchant
with a fascination for the sciences, and his personal collection of natural philosophy texts was so substantial that he'd opened a private circulating library. Its members were vetted by Mr. Ben-Ezra himself. Once a person gained entrance, they had access to both ancient tomes and current volumes, covering topics as varied as botany, astronomy, anthropology, and zoology, with occasional forays into mechanics, mathematics, and folk dance, because Mr. Ben-Ezra proclaimed himself to be inordinately fond of dancing.